Contained, of course, also in the earlier works, as we affirm, is the description of the final messenger, yani Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes, his religion. Yes, we affirm this to be true because we find in Surah Saf, yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that the task of Prophet Isa alayhi salam is to correct the aberrations that has occurred between the time of Musa alayhi salam and his time. Musaddiqan lima bayna yadayya min at-Tawrat. Yes, in order that he may verify and to correct aberrations, yes, from the time of the revelation of the Torah. Wa mubashiran, and in order to declare, wa mubashiran bi rasulin yati, of a messenger coming after me, min ba'di ismuhu Ahmad, whose name is Ahmad, yani the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And certainly, yes, the detailed description is also contained in another surah, wherein Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned Muhammadun Rasulullah. Muhammad is in fact the messenger of Allah. وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُ أَشِدَّاءُ عَلَى الْكُفَّارِ رُحَمَاءُ بَيْنَهُمْ. Indeed, yes, those who are with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُ, yes, those who are the company of the Prophet, those who are together with him, those who share his characteristic description. أَشِدَّاءُ عَلَى الْكُفَّارِ. They are stern against the disbelievers. What is the meaning of being stern against the disbelievers, firm against the disbelievers? It's not necessarily, that does not necessarily mean violence, strict opposition, no. But they are firm in their belief. They are firm in that they will not compromise in the integrity of the message that they have received from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, they are firm in the defense of the shi'ar of their religion. Yes, that is ashidda ala al-kufar. Certainly, it does not mean injustice. It does not mean unprovoked terror. It does not mean violence, because there are limits to actions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set. Yes, ashidda ala al-kufar, ruhama'u bainahum. They are, however, gentle, loving. Yes, gentle and loving, and having mercy amongst themselves. Ruhama'u bainahum. Yes, so just look at how Allah has described them as ruhama'u bainahum, yes, gentle amongst them, and see how we have deterred ourselves, yes, from the content of this message. Yes, how we have turned the opposite when amongst Muslims. Yes, we call this one a deviant. Yes, we are harsh amongst ourselves and so on. Yes, ruhama'u bainahum tarahum ruk'an sujjadan yabtaghuna fadlan min Allah. You will see them, yes, the description of the believers in the Prophet Muhammad is that they are prostrating, they are performing the ruku' and the sujud. Yabtaghuna fadlan min Allah. Yes, because the prayers is a means for them to obtain the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the divine gifts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Simahum fi wujuhihim min atharis sujud. There is a mark, yes, there is a trace, there is evidence of their faith in their faces. Yes, simahum fi wujuhihim min atharis sujud. The effect of their sujud, yes, upon Allah, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is marked upon their faces. Of course, as we read and as we hear from the scholars, the mark on the faces is not a physical mark, but rather it is the mark of light. Yes, the face of truthful people. Yes, the face of honest people. Yes, in the same way, to a lesser extent, yes, or rather to a greater extent, because for us the believers is the lesser extent. The greater extent is that of the Prophet. When some of the peoples in Mecca and Medina, some of his ummah, when they saw his face, that is already proof. Yes, that he is truthful. One of them said, when I saw him, he said, I know that this is not the face of a lie. It made them believe just by seeing his face. Simahum fi wujuhihim min atharis sujud. There Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, Dhalika mathaluhum fit Tawrat. Yes, that is how the last messenger and the people with the last messenger have been described in the Torah. So that means to say, amongst the contents of the Torah, aside from what we have discerned from Surah Sabbih Isma Rabbikal A'la, the Tawheed, Nubuwah, resurrection, we can see the basics, the basic structure of Iman, the basic structure of Aqidah, yes, that is shared between one Prophet from the beginning until the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that is contained in the earlier dispensations, contained in the earlier works. Yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that in the Quran, that this is what is contained in the earlier books. But also, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals in the Quran, what is contained in the earlier books is also the description of the Ummah of the Prophet Muhammad as well as the Prophet Muhammad. وَمَثَلَهُمْ فِي الْإِنْجِيلِ. And as for their description in the Evangel of Isa alayhi salam, yes, meaning to say Isa alayhi salam came, yes, to declare the coming of the final universal prophet. So certainly there will be a description of the final and the universal prophet and his ummah. كَزَرْءٍ أَخْرَجَ شَطْأَهُ. It is like a tree, or rather like a plant, yes, which grows unto its full capacity, or rather unto its full potential, unto its optimum development. فَآزَرَهُ فَاسْتَغْلَظَ. Yes, until it reaches its full potential development. يُعْجِبُ الزُّرَّعَ. Yes, the one who plants it, the one who plants these trees, yes, are pleased, yes, in this tamthil, in this ibarah. Yes, يُعْجِبُ الزُّرَّعَ. Yes, that the planters are happy with the maximum potential reached. What is this maximum potential which is reached? Well, it is the potential of humanity, the potential of insaniyah, the potential of the fitrah, which is reached with the deen. Yes, as Professor Naqib Attas has taught us, has written in his books, that one of the meaning of religion is fitrah, because religion restores the fitrah of mankind. And the means to obtain this fitrah is through the other meaning, judicious power, meaning to say to possess, or rather to gain control over your bodily members, to gain control over yourself by the nafsul natiqah, by the intelligent aspect over the animalistic aspect. And that's religion, yes? That's the submission of the animalistic powers to the intelligential powers, to the spiritual powers, until you reach justice. And when that optimum development is reached, that's fitrah. Yes, so that's the description of the Prophet Muhammad's ummah, yes, that they reach their full potential in fitrah. And this is especially more so, most descriptive of the best generation, that is the generation of the Sahaba, the one that has been described in the Quran, kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat linnas. You are indeed the best people that has been brought forth for mankind. Yes, despite the brief age that is assigned to the ummah of the Prophet Muhammad. The Prophet said, my ummah lives between 60 and 70 years in general, although there are some exceptions of those living beyond that, but in general, they live between 60 and 70 years. But yet, despite having the shortest time, they achieve great things. And when we see the scholars, when we see the Sahaba, how many of them reach their full potential, reach the full extent of their fitrah, while some of them reach the ages of 40 and 50, and others the ripe age of 80, 90, and so on. But even those who die at a young age, like Sayyidatina Fatimah Zahra, she died in her early 30s. Yet her achievement, what is that? To be the leader of the women in paradise. Yes, and furthermore, we see Sayyidina Ja'far ibn Abi Talib and several others amongst the Sahabas who died young, yes, but having achieved their full potential. And not to mention amongst the scholars, like Imam al-Shafi'i, who died in a relatively young age, in his early 50s. Imam al-Ghazali in his early 50s. But some amongst them have been blessed with longer age. But nevertheless, they fulfill that requirement, yes, of fulfilling the fitrah, because the deen, yes, the deen is in fact the optimum, the best mode of the development of the fitrah of man. Yes, if only man understood the nature of his amanah that Allah has given them. Yes, so therefore, ذَلِكَ مَثَلُهُمْ فِي الْإِنْجِيلِ. The point here with regards to the belief in the earlier works is that we can discern the contents of this book. I mean, meaning to say the revelation of the Quran means it intends for us to correct, yes, the deviations that has occurred due to the ethnic inventions, and then the things which were lost in the earlier dispensations and so on. Yes, because they keep producing new editions and they keep producing new studies. They can never reach certainty. And certainly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran also, there are many sections pertaining to the Ahlul Kitab, yes, to the Ahlul Kitab and the Kitab that they were given, books that they were given. So this is an important study in itself, and some of the scholars, the Mufassirin, have devoted lengthy discussions on the Ahlul Kitab. Yes, but most primary of the deviations of the Ahlul Kitab, as has been demonstrated in the surahs, yes, is of course first and foremost the deviation in Aqidah with regards to the Christians. Yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yes, corrects this in several surahs, from the earliest Meccan surah, including that of Suratul Ikhlas. Yes, lam yalid wa lam yulad, he has not begotten. Yes, nor was he does not beget, nor was he begotten. And in Suratul Kahfi, alhamdulillah alladhi lam yattakhidh waladan, all praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has not taken a son. And in Surah Maryam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the same too. Yes, that takadu samawati wal ard, that the heavens and the earth is about to be, let us say, is deeply impacted, yes, by the statement, and da'u lirrahmani walada, when they claim that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most merciful, has a son. So that means to say there is a corrective aspect, yes, of the Quranul Kareem, of the earlier dispensations, yes, and of the Banu Israel also likewise. Yes, it is mentioned in several instances how they have yuharrifu, meaning to say how they have changed the wordings, how they have changed the meanings, how they have hidden, yes, how they have hidden some parts of the revelation and so on. Well, hasil, yes, that's the extent of what we say, that we believe in the Quran and the earlier works. It does not entail that we have to believe in everything of the present form of the earlier dispensations, but rather the criterion, the Furqan, yes, to judge the content and the truth of the earlier dispensations is in fact the Quran. So today, inshallah, we move on to discuss the angels. Wal malaikatu haqqun. Indeed, the angels are also, we affirm, to be true and real. Yes, al malaikatu haqqun. We do not say that the angels are fictions of the imagination. We do not say that the angels are mythological beings, like a means to explain phenomena in nature that cannot be explained by science. That's not what we affirm in terms of our iman. We affirm them to be true and real, meaning to say to be true and existing. Ajma'ul ulama, yes, we affirm, yes, all the scholars, yes, the jumhur of the ulama have agreed that the angels exist, because the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam affirm the existence. Wa min thamma, and from that, yes, the ulama therefore judged or decreed that whoever denies the existence of the angels, or tries to explain away the existence of the angels as mere phenomena, or as mere or tries to replace it, the existence of the angel as phenomena like that, with kufr, yes, because even earlier on, some of the philosophers, they having been influenced by the Greeks, yes, tried to introduce some mechanisms of secularization by secularizing the existence of the angels. Because in the case of the Greeks, yes, we know how they got to their secularized physics, yes, from the mythology of the pantheon of the gods. Because for them, when the moral, especially when the moral aspect of the mythologically derived worldview became problematic, yes, when their, let us say, their fitra cannot accept, yes, the corruptions that has happened, perhaps also due to the external context with civilizations in the Fertile Crescent, as well as in the Middle East, as well as coming into contact with Egypt and so on. Well, but let us say that as a result of the development of their rational faculties, they managed to liberate their minds from the mythological worldview. But owing to not having a direct contact with revelation, a direct contact with the prophet, as far as we can tell, the earlier philosophers, the Ionians, decided therefore to secularize their worldview from the reservoir of mythologies that were available to them. And so in substitution of the gods, they believe in powers of let us say nature, powers of the elements. Yes, and powers of the elements is in truth is still another form of mythology. They still believe that the gods permeate nature, but this new god is depersonalized. I believe I remember the times we studied this in Cassis, this text by Etienne Gilson with Professor Wan. It's called God and Philosophy. Yes, God and Philosophy. Thales of Miletus, who believe that water is the basis of reality, affirm that that the gods permeate nature like that, but the gods that he has in mind is no longer the spirits, but some form of elemental metaphysics, let us say. So for them, it's like that, yes. And we can discern from this early understanding of nature until its development over the course of maybe 100 or 200 years, yes, in the metaphysics of Aristotle, how when it was translated and commented upon in the Christian tradition, and then when it was encountered by the Muslims, how some of them encountering these ideas may then try to square off this belief with the belief of the angels. But the ulama of the Ahlul Sunnah, yes, the mainstream ulama, they all affirm that this is not an acceptable aspect of speculative metaphysics. Yes, rather when it comes to these elements of metaphysics, we rely on revelation. And what the revelation says is the reality of the angels. So what do we believe? Yes. So basically what I have said is the via negativa aspect. We need to see what we deny to be the reality of the angels. We do not say that the angels are the elements of nature. Nor do we say, according to the mythology of the Arabs, yes, the belief of the Arabs, that the angels are the daughters of God, that the angels are as intermediaries, but at the same time seeking to be worshipped, to be given gifts, and so on and so forth. Yes. Rather, the malaika are beings made of light, yes, that they are able, yes, based on the understanding in the Quran, to take different forms, yes, and different shapes, including that of taking the shape of being a human being, yes, to become messengers. As we know, the angels, yes, have visited Ibrahim alayhi salam in the Quran, in that very famous episode, wherein the angels first came bearing glad tidings of Sayyidatina Sarah, the wife of Sayyidina Ibrahim, that she will bear a son, despite her old age. Yes, despite her old age, she will be given a son. And at the same time, we know how through that episode, the generosity of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, the generosity and the hospitality. In that episode, Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam welcomed them and prepared a meal for them, despite their coming late. He prepared a meal for them, and then he became shocked, yes, when he came to realize that they were not human beings. Yes, they were not human beings because they did not eat. Yes, so they came in human form, and likewise they came to Prophet Lut in human form, and several other prophets have received visitations by angels in human form, including the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes, it is said that during the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there is a particular Sahaba, Dihya, yes, who is a good-looking person, of which Jibril alayhi salam will take the form of when he's visiting the Prophet and when he's talking with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam from time to time. But there was also the time when Jibril alayhi salam took the form of a stranger. Yes, took the form of a stranger not known to anyone. In the very famous hadith, which is which has been narrated in the that has reached the station of tawatur. Yes, because it is contained in the collections of Bukhari, Sayyidina Imam al-Bukhari wal Muslim. Yes, the hadith Islam, Iman wal Ihsan. Yes, so it has reached the highest station. So where tawatur is concerned, there is no doubt, there is no denying that that angels, yes, in this particular case, Jibril alayhi salam is intelligent, meaning to say it has the capacity of speech, and of course that it can take the form of a man in that case. Although in their reality they are neither male nor female. La tuzakkar wa la tu'annas. Yes, in their reality as luminous beings, as being made of light, the angels are neither male nor female. Yes, because they are as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created them. Walaha ajniha, and based on some of the descriptions of the ahadith, yes, that the angels possess ajniha, they possess wings. Yes, wallahu a'lam, the actual form of the wings, what is it like as beings made of light. Walikulli wahidin minha maqam ma'lum, and every angel has their own station, maqam ma'lum. Yes, they have the station known to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and known to themselves, that they do not exceed, nor do they fall short of, and they have special duties that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has assigned. But also what can be spoken of in generality about the angels is that la ya'suna Allah ma amarahum wa yaf'aluna ma yu'marun. They do not oppose Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They do not disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they perform whatever it is that they are commanded. This is the aqidah of the Muslims. We know sometimes in the secularized, westernized worldview that affects us today, yes, there are challenges to our aqidah, because the Western worldview has Western Christianity to be an element of it. So therefore, this sometimes out of our confusion, yes, we watch their movies, we listen to their conversations, we read their books, we become confused. Yes, we think that for example, there is there was a movie made in the 90s, I think, the City of Angels, I think, about how may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect the beliefs of the Muslims. How subtle they try to introduce this, as if to say that the angels can out of choice, yes, can out of choice become human, or can out of choice give up the responsibilities given to them and enjoy life on earth. Of course, as a literary imagination, these things may reflect rather the preponderance of Western civilization rather than any reality. It's just a new form of jahiliyah. That's how, like the Jahili Arabs, when they gave names, when they gave genders to the angels in their time, it's the same now. Yes, because basically these are just fictions of their imagination. An elaborate one, yes, we can admit. Yes, one of the scenes that I remember in that movie was how the angel frequenting a lady. He said, describe to me what is it like to eat the fruit? What does the fruit taste like? Because as this body dismembered or without bodies, they don't know what food tastes like, and so on. What's the difference between an apple and a pear, and so on. But they like to read books, yes, because they like knowledge. So said, describe to me in the same way as Ernest Hemingway describes food in his novels. There's one novel called, I think, A Movable Feast. Yes, describing particular foods, how it is different from this and that, using mental conceptions. Well, Hassan, yes, the idea is that we have been, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us for our ignorance. We are moved by the discussions in Western culture and civilization. Yes, but that reflects and that projects their own understanding of the angels. And then also there is the other method, yes, because in their own understanding, Iblis, yes, Iblis or Shaitan is amongst the angels, yes, amongst the angels, a fallen angel, yes. And then he even has a good name to himself, but who knows? This could be due to the instigation of Shaitan himself, yes, wanting to rewrite history, yes, in the imagination of the ignorant, yes, giving himself the name Lucifer, being made of light, yes. But we know Allah Subhanahu wa Taala has revealed the reality of Iblis, yes. That in Suratul Kahf, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala mentions what is the reality of Iblis. Kana minal jinn, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala said he is amongst the jinn. So it is a deception. He managed to deceive. He managed to lie, yes, to a great number of mankind to believe that he was amongst the angels. He wasn't. He was never amongst the angels. Kana minal jinn, Allah said he was amongst the jinn. Afasaka, but he was a fasik. Yes, he disobeyed the command of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Aba wastakbar, Allah mentioned. Yes, that he refused to bow down, to worship, or rather to prostrate before Adam alayhi salam. Then Allah Subhanahu wa Taala removed him, yes, from the presence of the malaika. However, before that, we understand also that from the discussions in the Quran or rather the verses in the Quran, that he has reached a high station in his ibadah, that he could worship amongst the angels. But this does not mean that he was an angel. He was a being made of light. Yes, and the Quran exposes his backstory, let us say, because his dialogue, as the Quran, which speaks only the truth, his dialogue exposes the fact that, when he refused to bow to Adam, what does he say? Despite fire, yes, I mean in the external sense, despite fire being inferior to light, but yet he has still the audacity to say, to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, yes, his creator, his Lord, he said, you created me out of fire, and you created him out of teen, yes, out of earth. How can I cannot bow down to him like that. But we know that of Adam alayhi salam, that special quality that even the angels were asked to prostrate is that spirit, yes, that endures within the body. It is not the earthly aspect, yes, but it is rather the spirit, yes, the divine spark that Allah has given, the one that is capable of knowledge, the one that is capable of ma'rifah, the one that is capable of that potentiality. Now that is the reason of the superiority of Adam over the rest of creation, even the angels. Yes, in the Aqidah of An-Nasafi, yes, Imam An-Nasafi mentions there that the mu'minin, yes, the believers, those who have iman amongst mankind, are higher in rank than the generality of the angels. But there are several angels, yes, the messengers amongst the angels, the muqarrabin amongst the angels, they are higher in station than the generality of the believers. However, the anbiya, yes, the prophets amongst mankind are higher than even the prophets amongst the angels. And we see this in display during the night of Isra wal Mi'raj. Yes. So that's so basically these are some of the aspects, that as Professor Naqib Attas said, that the worldview of the West challenges aspects of the worldview of Islam. Yes, belief in angels are likewise. We must be wary. Yes, sometimes it can come as a mere phrase in English, and people would think that it is okay to say that. Yes, like I think a while ago someone said, even angels make mistakes. Now that's a very even angels make mistakes. That's again, yes, an un-Islamic statement. Yes, an un-Islamic statement. Yes, because we know that the angels they do not make moral mistakes. Yes, they do not make ethical mistakes. The angels perform only that which is commanded to them. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana. Yes. Innaka antal alimul hakim. Yes. There is no knowledge to us except for that which you have taught us, as the angels say. They always وَنَحْنُ أَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا مَا يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا وَيَسْفِكُ الدِّمَاءَ وَنَحْنُ نُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِكَ وَنُقَدِّسُ لَكَ. All that the angels do is make tasbih of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala and glorify Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. That is all. There is no such thing as talking about even angels make mistakes. This even angels make mistake derives from the false premise that Iblis was an angel and Iblis made a mistake. But we know that Iblis was a jinn. Yes, he is excluded, yes, from the class of angels. He's not an angel. Yes, and he certainly as a jinn, yes, because we know of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, angels, or rather the jinn and mankind are two addressees of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's message in the Quran, and the jinns and mankind are the beings in creation who are given free choice. Yes, who are given ikhtiyar, who are given choice either to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or to refrain, yes, with consequences. Na'am. Wa yaf'aluna ma yu'marun. They only do that which is commanded to them. Yes. Yes. Hayya Allah. Hayya Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has tasked several angels with specific duties. Yes. Has tasked several angels with specific duties. And the author, or rather the commentator, Dr. Ahmad Yusuf, mentions here, وَيَكْفِي الْإِيمَانِ. It is sufficient for us to reach the station of Iman with regards to the angels, to believe in ijmal, I mean, it's in a general sense, that we believe the existence of various levels and ranks and types of angels. But what is wajib for us to believe, yes, in some detail, is to believe in Jibril alayhi salam, who is entrusted with wahy, with revelation. Included, of course, within the task of Jibril alayhi salam is the clarification of revelation, is the explication of revelation, as we have seen. Meaning to say, as the Amin, yes, as the one entrusted with regards to revelation, he wasn't only tasked with conveying the message to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he was there to also ensure, yes, meaning to say, from year to year, we know that every Ramadan, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would recite with Jibril alaihi salam the extent of the Quran that was revealed, until in the last Ramadan of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when the entire Quran was revealed, was already revealed. There was it was done. This process was done twice. Yes, meaning to say, to ensure the form of the Quran is already complete and has basically it comes to us in the form as it is intended. And then there is also the coming of Jibril alayhi salam teaching. Yes, when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned after that long hadith of Islam, Iman and Ihsan, he asked Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab, do you know who that is? Yes. Sayyidina Umar said, Allah and the Prophet knows better. He said that was Jibril, Jibrilun Attas. He came in order to teach you your religion. So that is that aspect. Yes. Meaning to say the one who delivers the revelation and the one who teaches the contents of that revelation, as it is evident here. Yes, subhanallah. Secondly, Mikail, yes, the angel Mikail, al-muwakkal bil amtar, the one that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has entrusted with the affairs of the affairs of rain, yes, the affairs of rain, including the rizq, yes, because through rain, trees grow and plants grow and so on. Wa Israfil, yes, Israfil, the one that will be tasked. Of course, Israfil is one of the highest rank amongst the angels, and he will be tasked with nafakh and nafakh bis-sur, yes, to be blowing the trumpet, let us say, or in Malay we say sangkakala, the sur, yes. Wa Israel here, the angel of death. Wa raqibun atidun, the ones that are tasked with reporting and recording the deeds of the servant. Malik, yes, the caretaker of, or rather the one who guards the doors of Hellfire. Waridwan, Khazinul Jannah, the caretaker or the one who guards the doors of Jannah. So these are in general, and some others add Munkar and Nakir. Yes, the one who asks questions in the period of the barzakh, during the time that you are in the grave. Aside from this, there are also in the ahadith of the Prophet, in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that there are angels who carry the arash of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are angels who travel the earth scouting for majalisul ilm, yes, for majlis of knowledge and majlisul dhikr. There are angels who descend in the night of Al-Qadr, yes, the angels who descend in the night of Al-Qadr, and so on and so forth. Wallahu a'lam. So that's the extent of the angelic beings. Then Imam Ahmad bin Zein al-Habsyi continues with the statement pertaining to Jannah and Nar. Wal Jannata haqqun, wan Nara haqqun. Meaning to say, it is incumbent for us to believe, to have iman in Jannah, in paradise. What is paradise? It is Darun Na'im. It is the abode of bliss. It is the abode of blessing. It is the abode of rewards. Wabinar, yes, and also in hellfire. Allati hiya darul adab. Yes, it is the abode of punishment. It is the abode of torment and suffering. And these two has been created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that these two will be permanent and everlasting. As for the contents of the two, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed, as we know in some of the hadith, the Prophet clarifies further that there are some amongst the inhabitants of hellfire, there are members of the inhabitants of hellfire that will that will only spend a specific number of time until the purification of their sins has taken place, and then they will brought and then once that has been done, then they will be given entry upon heaven. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in some of the verses, wasari'u, and be quick and hasten ila maghfiratin min rabbikum, to forgiveness of your Lord, wa jannatin, and heaven, in which its magnitude is that of the sky and the earth, which is prepared to those who have taqwa. Wa qala ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, fa illam taf'alu, and if they do not do, walan taf'alu, yes, and they will never be able to do so, meaning to say the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, fattaqun nar. So therefore, be wary of hellfire, of which the materials for burning will be mankind, as well as special kinds of rocks. Yes, mu'iddat lil kafirin, which is prepared for those who deny the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oppose the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in another verse, Allah said, mathalul jannah, the similitude, yes, the similitude, yes. In truth, there is no true similitude because it is superior. When we speak about similitude, there is something similar to this. But in order to drive the idea closer to our minds, let us say, Allah said, mathalul jannah, yes, the similitude of heaven, of paradise, which has been prepared for those who have taqwa, is that rivers flow underneath it. Yes, rivers flow underneath it. And what is a river? If not a source of life and water, a source of pleasure. Yes. Ukuluha daimun. All the fruits, yes, all the fruits and food, yes, will be all around, meaning to say will be available always. That which is desired by yourself will be close to you and available to you always. Daimun wa dhilluha, there will be and its shade will be permanent, yes, from the heat, the scorching heat, yes, which we experience in this world. Yes, of course, this description of Jannah in the Quran is not only of that which is physical in nature, because we know also in Jannah that the speech of the inhabitants of Jannah is also described. Yes, that there is no ithim, meaning to say there is no foul speech in Jannah. There is no the kind of speech that hurts people. There is in Jannah also pleasurable conversation. And this pertains to the psychological aspects, yes, psychological aspects. There is also in Jannah the removal of pain, the removal of anguish, the removal of worry, yes, and the removal of anything that disturbs the heart in Jannah. So that is what is understood as psychological happiness. That's the reward of those who have taqwa. As for the consequences of those who deny and oppose the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is hellfire. وَالْجَنَّةُ وَالنَّارُ دَارِ إِقَامَةُ مُؤَبَّدَةٌ. Yes, Dr. Ahmad Yusuf adds that heaven and hell, paradise and hellfire, these are places of dwelling, abodes of dwelling, which will be permanent and everlasting. Jannah, as for Jannah, it is the proper abode. Daru khuludin, dar, abode, place of dwelling, which is permanent for the Ahlus Sa'adah, the Ahlus Sa'adah, Sa'id. Who is the Ahlus Sa'adah? Yes, the truly happy, the truly blessed individuals. Yes, the truly blessed individuals are those who have Iman and Amal Saleh, those who have certainty in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and who out of that certainty perform the required actions. Yes, and they are those in this world they are awarded with ma'rifatullah, knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, and in this world they are given peace and serenity, and in the which is a preparation for the true blessings in the akhirah. Yes, including living in Jannah, and more importantly, the highest pleasure is the ru'yatullah fil akhirah. Yes, ru'yatullah fil akhirah, the beatific vision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Sa'id is, who is the Sa'id? Huwa man mata ala al-Islami. It is he who dies in Islam, who dies in Islam, and say in a state of submission, in the religion that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed, who dies in a state of husnul khatimah. Yes, who dies in a state affirming the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes, that is the Sa'id. Yes, the truly happy. Yes, judge of a person once you reach that. Yes, because we know that, well, billah, it is not given to all individuals. As the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in one of the hadith, there are people who will perform the amal of the Ahlul Jannah until they are just of a short distance, dhira, it is said, between them and Jannah. But as it turns out that as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's decree has it, they are truly of the Ahlu Shakawa. Then, then we see, in Malay, kita kata orang tu buang tabiat, buang tabiat. And to say suddenly, towards the end of his life, there is a reversal. Yes, whereas in the early, let's say, childhood, adolescence, and early youth, yes, he was known to be in the company of the good people. But as his life progressed, yes, he tends to distance himself away from them. He distances himself away from the Amal Salih. He distances himself away from the Salihin. He distances himself away from the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the Amal Ibadah. He distances himself away, and he finds himself more and more inclined, yes, towards the Amal of the Ahlul Shaqawa. He finds himself at ease when lying, deceiving, when challenging Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wal-iyadhu billah. He finds himself away from that path. And na'udhu billah, if he persists in that, he might die in su'ul khatimah. On the other hand, the other is not impossible also. Yes, a person may be born a disbeliever. Yes, may be born disbeliever, may be born, within and maybe in his early youth and childhood and adolescence and so on. This person may be, perhaps in the wrong community, in the wrong group of friends, and then gradually, as he reaches maturity, let us say, he contemplates about these things and he leaves behind this life. Yes, he leaves behind the life of falsehood, and he makes tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he comes back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clean. Yes, in the state of preparing himself for the state of husnul khatimah. Yes, and many of the Sahaba, as we know, yes, when revelation came, yes, most of them were already in their 30s. Yes, in their 30s. We need to say already at that point of maturity. But then after the conversion experience, they become still the best of humanity. Yes, so that's this, and then there's that. وَالنَّارُ دَارُ خُلُودٍ لِلشَّقِيِّ. As for hellfire, it is the abode, the eternal dwelling place for the shaqi, for the cursed. Yes, for the ones who will suffer a permanent misery. Yes, and straitened of circumstance. وَهُوَ مَنْ مَاتَ عَلَى الْكُفُرِ. It is the one who dies. And so we judge, therefore, yes, the amal in the khawatim, towards the end, what is it? Yes, that's the end is what matters. Yes, whether or not a person dies in Husnul Fatimah and the one who dies in Su'ul Fatimah. And out of this, we understand that we have to have, for others, we have to have always Husnul Dhan. Yes, we should not think that I am better than that person because we don't know the ultimate consequences of things. Yes, and we can only hope when Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has already given us Iman and Amal Saleh and granted us the ability to read the books of the Salihin, the company of the Salihin, then we should ask Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala to increase of hidayah. Yes, as Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala taught, Rabbana la tuzigh qulubana. Do not misguide us, our Lord, ba'da idh hadaitana. After if you have guided us, yes, or after you have guided us. La tuzigh qulubana ba'da idh hadaitana wa hab lana min ladunka rahmah. And we seek that you grant and award us ar-rahmah, your mercy. This mercy includes, of course, the greatest of its form is knowledge of Allah. And also at the same time, istiqamah is another gift of rahmah. Another sign of rahmah is the ease that we seek, that our body can release our souls, yes, with ease, with shahada still contained. Yes. Well, and may Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala grant us all Husnul Fatimah, and those that we love Husnul Fatimah. And though He may test us from time to time with different types of tests, yes, tribulations and suffering, may Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala not cause us to be defeated by such tests. And if He were to try us with ease, and if He were to try us with honor, with wealth, with positions, may that not be a cause of our deviation. Finally, the last line of this section, Imam Ahmad bin Zein said, "Wa Jami'ah ma ja'ana bihi Sayyiduna Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam." And everything, yes, everything that our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has come with is the truth. Yes, is true and real. Whatever he comes to describe is true, is real. Whatever he has spoken about is true and real. Yes, he had never spoken a lie. Al-ma'na, the meaning of this, it is incumbent upon us to believe in all that the Prophet that has been reported, yes, and what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, of which Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, His Lord, has said, وَمَا يَنْتِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ. This man, yani Muhammad, yes, has not spoken out of his vain desires. In huwa illa wahyu yuha. What comes out of his blessed mouth is in fact the revelation of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. The wahi, it is in fact inspired from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. He is taught by Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Yes, he said, Adabani Rabbi. My Lord is the one who educated. Fa'ahsana ta'dibi. And what an excellent education that He has given me. Adabani Rabbi. Fa'ahsana ta'dibi. My Lord has educated me, and what an excellent education that I have received from Him. So all aspects. And when we say everything that came from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we do not mean only the ones that come from his tongue, but even his actions. Yes, even his actions, bodily, his movements, his preferences, all of these, yes, have received divine guidance and sanction, such that it is the best manner of acting, speaking, even his silence. Yes, these are all worthy of emulating. These are all worthy of following. And the dalil, the proof that there is an obligation, there is a duty that we have to believe in whatever the Prophet ﷺ said, is Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala's own command in the Quran. وَمَا أَتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ. Whatever your Prophet has given you, then take it. وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ. And whatever that he has prohibited you from doing, therefore abstain. Yes, I remember there was one time Professor Nahib Attas shared during one of the nights. He said there was a man who asked him, is there a dalil in the Quran that we have to recite Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim before Suratul Fatiha? Why do you recite Fatiha? He said, before Bismillah. Is there anywhere in the Quran that says you have to do that? The Prophet said, the Prophet said, there is. I said, where? I have never found this. Then Prophet said, this verse, whatever the Prophet has given you, ma'atakumur rasul, then take it. So whatever the Prophet has done is sufficient proof enough, because the Quran validates this. Yes, so that's why, I mean, only out of ignorance can we fathom, yes, can we fathom the positions of individuals who claim that they are Ahlul Quran, that they are people of the Quran, and they reject the Prophet Muhammad. Yes, it is only out of ignorance. Also out of ignorance, yes, that they would, they would consider the Prophet as a mere messenger, and so on and so forth. Yes, of this time. وقوله تعالى, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's statement also, قُلْ أَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ, obey Allah, وَالرَّسُولَ, and obey the messenger. فَإِن تَوَلَّوْا فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ, and if they turn away, indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not love, yes, those who turn away. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala statement, وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَالرَّسُولَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ, obey Allah, obey the messenger, in order that you may receive the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then finally, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a hadith said, "La yu'minu, any one of you have not attained to the reality of iman until his desires, he has become obedient to what I have brought." Yes, there's no such thing as imagining having iman without obedience to the Prophet. There is no such thing as having iman without recourse to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Shaykh Ahmad al-Marzuki, in the famed Manduma, what is called the Aqidatul Awam, ends it, or rather in one of the lines it is said, كُلُّ مَا أَتَى بِهِ الرَّسُولُ فَحَقُّهُ التَّسْلِيمُ وَالْقَبُولُ, and whatever that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has come with, then our duty is taslim wal qabul, yes, acceptance, yes, and performance, acceptance and obedience. Wallahu alam, that is the extent to which we wish to share. Alhamdulillah, we have completed the qism, or rather the section on Tawheed of the Risalatul Jami'ah. Inshallah, if we have the opportunity, we will meet sometime again in the future, either perhaps to continue on this work or perhaps some other works. If we were to continue on these works, perhaps we can look into the sections on fiqh, and then there is a section on. So we have still some time left. If there is any questions that you would like to ask.
Okay, thank you, Ustaz, for the
Or any discussions.
yeah. There is no questions in the chat box, but if you guys want to ask, you can open mic. Ustaz, I have one question. When I meet some of the spiritual people in the majlis, they claim that we can look, we can view, we can see Allah in this world. We can ma'rifah, we can see him in this world, but in his sifat asma and af'al. So is it true that that's by that way we can affirm that there's wajhullah? Is it true? Ustaz, can you hear me?
I'm really sorry. I couldn't make out what you were trying to say. The audio is breaking.
Oh,
If
the
it's all
audio
right,
bit.
could you type it and put it in the box?
Okay, I try.
Well, if anyone else has questions, you may also, unfortunately, because I cannot hear you, you can also type it in the box, in the chat box. Hmm. Well, I'm not sure if I can continue. Okay, can see wajhullah in the dunya through saying of Allah's asma. Okay, all right. Of course, when they say wajhullah here, we know that the, there is perhaps a basis in that statement, because in the Quran Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala said, yes, فَأَيْنَمَا تُوَلُّوا فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ. Wherever wherever you face, in whatever direction you face, you will be able to see aspects, the aspect of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. But here, the wajah in this case shouldn't be understood in a literal form, certainly. Yes, and the aqidah of Ahl-Sunnah, the aqidah of Imam Hasan al-Ash'ari, yes, we know that this is part and parcel of what is called, their methodology of ta'wil. Yes, that it is required to make ta'wil of these verses. So the wajah of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala should not be understood in the sense of the wajah of a human being. In the same sense, when we affirm the truth of all the verses, but we do not affirm the using of our imagination to understand it as an anthropomorphic reality. Because we also affirm in the verse in which Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala said, "Laisa kamithlihi shay'un," there is nothing in existence that is like him. Yes, in essence. Yes. So when they say the wajhullah, fa'inama tuwallu fathamma wajhullah, so you have to understand it according to the various meanings. Yes, the various meanings possible with regards to the meaning of wajah. Yes, and of course this one is not something that is to be understood without proper training, because the room for error, yes, is so large. Yes, that you have to be very careful when you want to select, yes, the words that you use. Yes, for example. Out of the avoidance of confusion, yes, we have to understand that we have to understand the approach of the scholars, yes, out of trying to avoid confusion. Yes, in the same way that when it is said that there's the famous story that Attas told about how in Basra, yes, there was a village. Yes, after some anthropologists said that the Malays, especially the villagers, when they pray, they don't know what they're saying. Yes, so Prophet Attas went to one of these villages and he asked them, Allahu nuru samawati wal ard. Yes, he said, "Do you understand the meaning of this?" They say they don't know, but he translated that into Malay. Yes, and he said, Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. So we say that Allah is light. Yes, Allah is light. But he said, does the light of Allah, or Allah being light, does it mean that Allah is like this? Yes, the light of Allah is like this. We need to say like the lamp that you light in the middle of the night. They say no, they know that's not true. Does it mean also like supposing he were to take out a lighter or a match and then he shows fire? Is it a light like this? They say no. Is it like the light of the sun? They say no. So like that. So that means to say, whoever that has ma'rifah, yes, will be able to know. Yes, whoever that has ma'rifah will be able to know that nothing of the makhluk yes, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes. So similarly, when we speak about the wajhullah, yes, through the af'al, the sifah, and so on and so forth, we have to be very careful. Yes, when we say things like this, out of the fear of the ambiguity. Yes, out of the ambiguity that come from that. Yes, because it is out of these things, yes, that the Ahlul Zindiq emerged, that Sheikh Nuruddin Ar-Raniri, yes, in his treatise has tried to remove, yes, because during the time of Ar-Raniri, there were people who claimed that their existence is that of Allah's existence. So they misinterpret, yes, using a pantheistic, worldview or pantheistic framework, as if God's essence is in the world, yes, as if God's essence is in the world, or meaning to say, as if the world in its totality is God. In the same sense as how in modern times this deviation is seen in Benedict Spinoza's pantheistic scheme. Yes, Benedict Spinoza said, God or nature. Yes, God or nature. Yes, as if God and nature were the same things. Yes, but this is not the conclusion that is permissible. Yes, we understand that the wajah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that speech needs to be established within the framework of the tawheed of and that tawheed of the asma wa sifah, and the tawheed of the af'al, and of this world. This world is but the athar of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creative act. Yes, so the athar of the creative act. So whatever that can be perceived of this world are but signs, yes, are but signs and symbols. They are alam, meaning alam in the sense of like bendera or flags. They reveal some things. It is the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is the author of the divine book. You can say that supposing by wajah, one of its meanings is that it is the source. Yes, wajah is the source that through which we direct something. We can say that the world reveals the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The world reveals the creative activity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is discerned through this world. But we know, yes, that discerning the attributes of a person through his actions is not the same as seeing as calling resemblance between the products and the creator of the products. Like supposing a man were to make a beautiful castle, we do not say that the castle reflects the face of the man, but we can say that the castle reflects the intelligence of the person. But intelligence is not meant physical resemblance. So this kind of speech, is something that we have to be very careful that we when we speak. Meaning to say, out of not because the statements are problematic per se, if taken in its original context, but because of the possibility of cognates. Yes, because wajah is understood in a certain manner amongst the Malays, a certain manner even amongst let us say students who begin to study Islamic studies or begin to study Aqidah. We understand wajah to be something physical. We understand wajah to be the source of with eyes and nose and so on. So that's problematic. Yes, but if they say that they see the wajh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the sense that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's knowledge is seen, or other aspects of his knowledge is seen, and his power is seen, and so on and so forth, without pantheism, then it's not a problem.
Understood, Ustaz. Clear. Alhamdulillah. So, anyone want to ask questions? You can type at the chat box.
Thank you. Sorry, what? Oh, okay. Slowly, I think I can hear you. Go on. Okay. Any other questions? All right. I suppose if there are no more questions, we First, we ask Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, to grant us understanding, uh, true understanding, and may Allah Subhanahu wa Taala forgive us for the errors that we have brought, and may Allah Subhanahu wa Taala guide us closer to the truth with regards to knowledge, and may it become beneficial knowledge that we not only understand and believe, but also leads to proper amal. May Allah Subhanahu wa Taala strengthen our iman, and may Allah Subhanahu wa Taala make us amongst those who die in husnul khatimah, and preserve the iman in our hearts. And may Allah Subhanahu wa Taala guide all our family members and all those closest to us. And may Allah Subhanahu wa Taala make us steadfast, yes, in the call to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, call to the Prophet. And may Allah Subhanahu wa Taala make us among the generation that calls others to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, His Prophet and the Sharia. And may Allah Subhanahu wa Taala honor us with His ibadah and acceptance of the ibadah. And may Allah Subhanahu wa Taala forgive us all our sins and mistakes. And may Allah Subhanahu wa Taala guide us to the proper teachers and mentors who can correct our understanding, who can guide us further. And may Allah Subhanahu wa Taala grant us knowledge. Amin. Amin ya rabbal alamin. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adzabannar. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wassalamu alal mursalin. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Thank you everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Ustaz, for the sessions. So we close the
Inshallah,
majlis.
if there are future questions or other developments, inshallah, Said will or Sister Atika, I will communicate through them, and inshallah the group will be maintained. So if there's any more information, we'll let you all know. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, everyone.